Yeah, good day viewers, you're welcome to my channel. This is Radical Science. If today is your first time of visiting my channel, all I want you to do is to hit the subscription button and also turn the subscription bell on so that anytime we post in this channel, you can be able to get notification to enable you watch our videos anytime we post. So on today's edition, I'll be taking you step by step on this year's JUPEB biology practical. So all you need to do is just to pay attention to this video, because everything I'm going to say in this video, you will definitely see it in your exam. And remember, do not skip this video. If you have anybody who will be writing JUPEB this year, all I want you to do is to share this video to such persons so that they can partake in this tutorial. Okay, so let us proceed. Now, from the first specimen given by JUPEB 2025, here we have head of cockroach with antenna. Head of cockroach with antenna. Okay, now name of the organism which specimen A is taken from. Okay, you must be asked the name of the organism which that particular head is taken from. The essence of doing this is for them to be able to know if actually you can differentiate between other organisms and the head of cockroach. Okay, so that is by the way. So the organism which this particular organism or this head was taken out from is cockroach. Okay, very important, very important. Okay, here we said adaptive function of the organ in the head. Adaptive functions of the organ in the head. They are going to be asking you this, so take note. The functions of the organs on the head of that particular organism, which is the head of a cockroach with the antenna. So let's take a look at some of the answers you should write down. Okay, here we have a compound eyes. What is the function of this compound eye? The function of this compound eyes is used for seeing. The function is for seeing. You can say seeing or vision. Okay. So now the next one there is presence of mandible, maxilla, labium for biting and chewing. Presence of the labium, mandible, maxillum, and the labium for biting and chewing. So this particular head or this particular mouth is modified mainly for biting and chewing due to the presence of the mandible, the maxilla, the labium, and the malleolum. So those are the things you should note. Okay. Now we have presence of antenna. It has an antenna. Okay, that is the main reason why they demanded that the head must be bearing the antenna. They must get the one that has antenna intact. Now, what is the function of this antenna? What is the functions of this antenna to the organism to which this head belongs to? Okay, one of the function is sensory perception. Sensory perception, that is the ability to dictate various stimulus around the environment, such as stimulus of touch, smell, taste, and vibration. So that is what this antenna is mainly used for as far as cockroach is concerned. So take note of that. Now another function of this antenna is to dictate mates. That is mate dictation, their opposite sex, to dictate their mates. Okay, so now the another function here is food location. This organism uses the antenna to dictate where there is food, and also they use this antenna for environmental monitoring. Environmental monitoring such as sunlight, temperature, humidity, and other environmental factors. So these are the things that this particular organism where this specimen A is taken out from uses the antenna for. So take note of this. It is very important. Now let's take a look at the food that is adapted by this head or by this specimen A. Food that this specimen A is adapted to. Very important. Now this specimen A is adapted to starchy food. Yes, it is also adapted to grease anything oil as well as meat. Okay, so that is the more reason why wherever there is oil, you will always see cockroach around it. Wherever you put starchy food or you put meat, you will always see cockroach coming around it. So these are the things you need to know as far as the specimen A is concerned. There is no big deal in this particular exam or in this particular practical. It's just like the normal WAEC and NECO biology practical that you've been writing. Okay, so and again, the next thing there is you should go and learn how to draw and label this specimen A, which is the head of a cockroach with the antenna intact. Learn how to draw and label them. It is already on the screen. Okay, so now let's go to specimen B. Specimen B here is spider. Specimen B is spider. Now you will be asked on the kingdom, what is the kingdom to which this specimen B belong to? The kingdom is Animalae. Now you will also be asked the phylum at which this specimen B belong to. The phylum is arthropods. Then the class is Arachnida. The class is Arachnida. So that is that. Take note of that. Very, very important. Now let's take a look at the adaptative functions, adaptative features and the functions of this particular specimen B. What this simply means is we are going to be taking a look at the structural adaptative functions of this particular organism to its environment. That is what enables this organism to survive in its given environment. Okay, so those are the things we are going to be looking at here now. Here we have a presence of jointed legs or appendages for clubbing locomotion. Now we have presence of spinneret located under side of the abdomen. That is under the abdomen. That is where the spinneret is located. Now this spinneret produces the silk. It produces the silk which is used for building web, used for catching prey. Very, very important. That web they build, the web they build, okay, is produced in the spinneret, which is known as the silk. Okay, and you know the function is to catch prey. Now here we have presence of mouth for feeding. Presence of mouth for feeding. Okay, so that is by the way. Now we also have presence of eyes. Presence of eyes for seeing or for vision. So these are the adaptative functions or the adaptative structures and the functions of this particular organism that I have mentioned, which is specimen B. Now let's go over to specimen C. C is frog or toad. So now let's take a look at this specimen and see the kind of questions that you should be expecting as far as this exam is concerned. Okay, now you are asked to to be presented with either frog or toad. Okay, but for now we are going to be using toad, although both of them carries the same characteristics. But the reason why I'm going to be using toad is because in most cases toad is more available than frog. So possibly what you'll be presented with is a frog. Okay, sorry, a toad. Now some of you may be asking, what is the difference between a toad and a frog? Now you look at the two of them on the screen. Now that of a toad has a watty skin. Okay, the skin is very, very rough, while that of a frog is very, very smooth. So now let's take a look at a toad. We'll be using a toad as a case study as far as this specimen is concerned, and possibly that is what you'll be given to. Okay, now we talk about the kingdom. The kingdom is Animalae. Talk about the phylum. The phylum is Chordata. Now you talk about the class. The class is amphibian. they are amphibian animals. Now, why are they called amphibian? The reason why they are called amphibian is because they start their life cycle in water and complete it on land. Amphibians are organisms that begins their life cycle in the water and complete it on land. And there is something I want you to understand. When you are asked to state or to say what amphibians are, in those days, possibly in your junior secondary or in your primary school, you were told that amphibians are animals that live in both water and on land. Please, that is very, very wrong. When you write it as far as this exam is concerned, you will not earn your full mark. Amphibians are not animals that live in both water and land. If amphibians are animals that live in both water and land, what about the reptilians? What about the reptilia? What about the crocodile? Crocodile lives in both water and on land, but crocodile is not an amphibian. Crocodile is a reptile. So the reason why crocodile is not regarded as amphibian is because crocodile do not start their life cycle in water or possibly complete it on land. Rather, crocodile begins their life cycle on land and complete it in water. Why amphibians begins their life cycle in water and complete it on land. So these are the things you need to know about amphibians. Okay, very, very important. Now, another thing there is you'll be asked on the mode of fertilization. The mode of fertilization. So this toad or frog, they undergo what we call external fertilization. They undergo external fertilization because the eggs are laid on ground inside the water, while the male of the toad climbs and pour the sperm on the surface of the egg right inside the water. So fertilization does not take place inside the body of the toad or the amphibian, either toad or frog. Rather, it takes place outside. So take note of that. Very, very important. Okay, now you also be asked the reason or adaptative features that enables this particular organism to survive in water, and also adaptive features that enables them to survive on land. Okay, adaptive features that enables this organism to survive in water, and adaptive features that enable this organism to survive on land. Remember what I said earlier? I said that they start their life cycle in water and complete it on land. So possibly they live in both water and also on land. So what are the things that makes them survive in water, and what are the things that makes them survive on land? So one of the things that makes them survive in water, let's begin with that. One of the things that makes them, or the organ that enables them to survive in water, is presence of web strong feet or presence of web digits. That is that their digits are webbed. It is webbed. Okay, it has webs on it. Now these webs enables them to swim freely in water. It enables them to swim freely in water. Now another reason why another feature that enables them survive in water is presence of eye on their head. Okay, presence of eyes on top of their head. Now this particular eye on top of their head enables them to lie low inside the water and also be able to see the surface of the water. That is to say that frog has the ability to stay inside water, that is immersed inside the water, and also the eye will be on top of the surface of the water without going inside with the whole of the head. So with that, it also helps the organism to survive in water, especially in terms of searching of prey and also escaping from predators. That is a very important external feature that enable this organism to survive in water. Okay. Now another thing there is presence of permeable skin. Presence of permeable skin that enables them to absorb oxygen. Presence of permeable skin that enables them to absorb oxygen. Okay. And lastly, on the feature of features that enables them to survive in water is their ability to lay egg in water. So this ability to lay egg in water will help to prevent predators from attacking their eggs. So very, very important. Take notes on that. Now let's take a look at features that enable this organism to survive on land. Adaptive features that enable this organism to survive on land. That is what we are going to be taking a look at. Now here we say presence of dry skin that helps them conserve water loss from their body, or that prevent them from dryness. So this their skin is very, very, is very, very dry and tough. Presence of dry and tough skin, which prevents water loss from their body, preventing them from desiccation or dryness. Okay, now we have a waxy skin that secretes toxic substances. Waxy skin that secretes toxic substances. Now these toxic substances are the things that detest them from predators. Now when predators come closer to eat them, they become a kind of very bitter, distasteful, as something that cannot be consumed. So it is presence of this waxy skin that produces these toxic substances that help them escape from danger or from their predators. Very, very important. Okay, now here we have strong webbed feet that aid them jumping. Strong webbed feet that aids in jumping and movement. Okay, now under one there says presence of coloration and pattern that blends with the surrounding. Presence of coloration and patterns that blends with the environment. Okay, sometimes you may be walking on the road. Maybe you want to pick a stone. You don't know that what you've just picked is toad. That is because the color of the toad we cut with that of stones. You may not know the difference between the stone and that of toad. So in case of predators when they see the toad that looks like a rock, the predator will just walk away without noticing them. So that is one of the importance of their coloration. Okay, now ability to burrow into the soil to escape from predators. They can to hide under the soil against predators. When they enter under the soil, it will prevent predators from noticing them. Okay, so that is that for specimen C. Now let us go over to specimen D. Specimen D is tomato fruit. Specimen D is tomato fruit. Now what are the questions that you should be expecting as far as this specimen D is concerned? Now the question you should be expecting there is to draw. Go and learn how to draw this. It's very, very important. Learn how to draw a transverse section of a tomato fruit. Transverse section of a tomato fruit. It is also written on the board, that is on the screen. And also learn how to label it. So from the screen you can see it here. We have the epicarp, the mesocarp, the endocarp, the seed, the placenta. Okay, now let's take a look at other questions that you should be expecting as far as this particular specimen D is concerned. Now another thing there is the fruit type. What type of fruit is a tomato? What type of fruit is a tomato? Have it in mind that tomato is a berry fruit. Tomato is a berry fruit. Now propagation. It is propagated by seed. It is propagated by seed. Now also, what is the life cycle of tomato? The life cycle of tomato is annual. Is annual. Okay, that is by the way. Okay, so now let's take a look at the mode of dispersal. The mode of dispersal is man and animal. Another thing that is very, very important that they must not fail to ask you is the placentation. The placentation of this specimen D. Have it in mind that the placentation is axial placentation. The axial placentation, very, very important. Now, let's take a look at the botanical name. The botanical name is Solanum lycoparsecum. Solanum lycoparsecum. Very, very important. Now, let's go over to specimen E. The specimen E here is a mango. We have mango. So go and learn how to draw a transverse section of a mango. Okay? Sorry, not transverse. Learn how to draw longitudinal section of a mango fruit. Longitudinal section of a mango fruit, and know how to label it accurately. Here we have the seed, we have the placenta, we have the epicarp, the mesocarp, and the endocarp. Okay, so learn how to draw those things. They are very, very important. Now let's take a look at the type of fruit to which specimen E belong to, which is mango, to which specimen E belong to. Now, specimen E belong to a type of fruit known as drupe. Very, very important. Now, the placentation as well is axial placentation. Agent of dispersal is man and animal. Now, life cycle, they are perennial crop. It is a perennial crop, so they last more than 2 to 3 years. They are referred to as perennial crop. Very, very important. Now, let's take a look at specimen F. Let's take a look at specimen F. Now, the specimen F is groundnut. Specimen F is groundnut. Although you may not be expecting much question from this particular specimen, which is specimen F. But there are things you should note there. The propagation. Specimen F is propagated by seed. Now, you will also be asked the type of cotyledon. The cotyledon it has, which is, when we talk about cotyledon, we are talking about how many seed leaves it have. Okay, so it is known as a dicotyledous crop. It is a dicotyledous crop. Okay, very, very important. And remember, groundnut is not a fruit. Okay, groundnut is not a fruit, so don't get it twisted. Groundnut is not a fruit. Okay. So now the annual cycle, the life cycle is annual. The cotyledon is dicotyledon because it has 2 seed leaves. Okay. Now, with the botanical name is Arachil hypogea. That is the botanical name. Now, uses of specimen F. Now, this specimen F can be used for oil extraction. We can extract oil from it. This is where you get the word groundnut oil. Okay, so we have a food production, such as making of cake and other food, consumable foods. Okay, now we have production of animal feed in terms of groundnut cake. Use it in producing animal feed. You mix it as an addictive. You mix it together as a source of protein and fat and oil in animal feed. Okay, now it can also be consumed directly. After frying it. You eat it like that, and also it serves as a good source of income. To farmers that grows it. These are the importance of specimen F. Okay, now let's take a look at specimen G, which is a maize seed. Now, there is something you must understand here. A maize is a fruit. Okay? A maize is a fruit. Have it in mind. A maize is a fruit. Now, the question may be, why is it regarded as a fruit? Why do we regard it as what? A fruit. Now, the reason why we regard it as a fruit is because it develops from the flower part of the plant, or it develops from the ovary of the plant. So that is the reason why we refer it as a fruit. Okay, now let's take a look at what type of fruit is maize. What type of fruit is it? Now we say it is a cryopsis fruit. It is a cryopsis fruit. So they belong to the group of cryopsis. Now the cotyledon, it is a monocotyledon plant because it has only but one seed leaf. Now the botanical name, as you all know, even somebody in nursery school can still remember the botanical name of a maize, which we call Z-maize. Okay, now life cycle, they are annual crops. The annual crops. Now uses, what are these? What can we produce with this particular specimen G, which is a maize seed? Okay, here we say that production of livestock feed. It is used in producing livestock feed, especially in poultry. Now it said it is used for starch production. It is used for starch production. Most of the starch you consume are gotten from maize. Okay. Yeah, we said when fermented, it can be used to produce ethanol. When you ferment it, we use it in producing ethanol, which is an alcohol. Now we said it serves as a raw material to pharmaceutical industries that produces drugs. It serves as a raw material to pharmaceutical industries that produces drug. Okay, so these are the specimen you are expected to see as far as this exam is concerned, and the possible questions and the answers that you should be expecting as far as this exam is concerned. So if you have any question, all you need to do is just drop your question in the comment section, and I promise you that as soon as I get the question, I will give you answer to it. And also have it in mind that some of the things I'm pronouncing here, the auto-generated subtitle, so sometimes it makes mistake. If you need any assistance as far as this exam is concerned, all you need to do is to chat me up using the number on the screen, or possibly you join our Telegram or WhatsApp group using the link on the description below. All you need to do is just to follow instruction, and I promise you that you will make the best result. And at the end of the day, you come back to this channel to say thank you